Resident Evil.
In 1996, a game series was born. In fact, it wasn't just a game series, but a game genre that defined a generation of horror video games. The game, Resident Evil. The genre, survival horror. In 2004, Capcom did everyone a favor by remaking the original Resident Evil game that came on the PlayStation, on the GameCube. The results were something truly astounding. Beautifully detailed models and photorealistic lighting with CG backgrounds really made this the best looking Resident Evil game made to date. Sadly, not all fans could experience this game as it was exclusively available on the GameCube and Wii, until now. The game has not only been ported but remastered to HD for nearly every system except, and ironically, for the Wii U. This entry is the defining chapter of the Resident Evil and Biohazard series. You play as Special Forces STAR members Chris Redfield or Jill Valentine, who have been sent in to investigate mysterious murders occurring at the outskirts of the Midwestern town Raccoon City. While navigating through the forests, STAR members get ambushed by mutant dogs and are then forced to take refuge in a mansion. This is pretty much where things kick off, as each character ends up telling their own perspective of the story. Expect to face zombies and more biological beasts that haunt the hallways. Though don't expect the game to be too serious, as the iconic campy dialogue still distracts and gives the entire game a B-movie vibe. If you're unfamiliar with what survival horror is, then this game should be your first entry. In fact, the opening lines to the game literally say, "Enter the survival horror," fully aware of itself being the defining game that created the genre. And in typical survival horror fashion, the game uses fixed camera angles. Now, back in the day, Capcom were more or less forced to use pre-rendered static backgrounds in order to create a realistic atmosphere, due to the limitations of the systems. Yet little did they know that fixed camera angles became a style of its own, lending to create something cool and yet frustrating at the same time. Occasionally, you will be shooting at things you won't be able to see. This leads to a lot of problems and headaches, especially since the game can be very stingy with ammo. This is where the survival part comes into play. Items are scattered throughout the mansion, including ammo, keys, puzzle items, and of course, ink ribbon, which are the only way to save your progress. Making things more challenging is the limited space you have, which needs to be dropped and exchanged at item chests. Adding even more stress are the Crimson Zombies, who are zombies that are killed and are then resurrected into faster and more powerful creatures. The way to stop them from becoming one is by burning their bodies, which require a can of kerosene and gas, which are also limited. So expect to remember where you're going and how many zombies you didn't burn, otherwise you'll be in for a really bad time. I'm not going to lie, this is probably one of the most challenging Resident Evil games ever made. The added stress of Crimson Zombies and limited ammo really adds a whole new level of dimension that even veteran Resident Evil fans will find difficult. Even with the added easy mode option, the game can still feel at times punishably challenging, especially if you haven't saved in a while. In terms of visuals and audio, the game has been revamped and improved tremendously. Some textures, however, clearly show they've been upscaled, and as a result, you may notice some artifacts. Also, because the backgrounds were originally made for a 4x3 screen, the widescreen mode could only be achieved by zooming in. PC players will also have the added benefits of choosing more graphic options, including 60 frames per second, which is exclusive to that platform. In terms of controls, newcomers could choose the alternate style controls, which include twin analog support. Classic control options are still there, though both of them force the player to use triggers to aim and shoot. But the added benefit of reloading without switching to the menu is a nice touch. Resident Evil Remastered is a perfect example of a remake done right. The challenge and the added expansion to the mansion not only stayed true to the source material but managed to improve upon it. Whether if you have never experienced a survival horror game before or a fan wishing to relive the Resident Evil glory days, this remastered beauty should not be passed up.